And for more on Apple's acquisition of Beats, we're joined by Ben Bajarin, Director of Consumer Technology Practice at Creative Strategies, which is a strategy consulting firm in Silicon Valley. Thanks for joining us. Good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So Apple spent $3 billion, a mere 2% of its $150 billion cash pile, to purchase a company with revenues which, according to Bloomberg, are in the $1 billion range annually. Compare that to Facebook's $19 billion acquisition of WhatsApp with, at the very least, questionable revenue so far. Is this really a great deal? Money well spent, do you think?
Well, I think on paper, the Beats business is a very good business. And remember, there's two sides of the company. There's the electronic side of the company with the headphones, and then there's the entertainment side, which really has the streaming service. And when you look and if you evaluate the company as itself, it's a very, very good business. So if we were just looking at it from a business standpoint, you'd say this is a good business that's growing and has a lot of upside. The real question, obviously, is how does this strategically fit into Apple and their long-term goals? And to your point about Facebook or any other acquisitions, that would always be one of the big questions we'd ask is obviously how is this thing strategic from a long-term standpoint to the acquiring company, in this case Apple.
So how is this fitting into Apple's long-term strategy? Many analysts have said Apple's not really innovating as much as it used to. It has had major domination of the music industry, especially with iTunes. It has 800 million registered iTunes users. Are we seeing Apple move into dominating the music space, and can we expect to see more from them?
Well, I definitely think we'll expect to see more. I think if you look at the team that the Beats Music is bringing on, and Beats in general, with Jimmy Iovine and the team that they have, we should expect to see, I think, a lot more there. But one of the key things I think that's important to look at, and this is coming off again the cusps of everything Apple's announced today at WWDC, is that their real strength is in integration. They can take features that existed elsewhere and integrate them into their platforms and then bring them to consumers in meaningful ways. So I would think that the music service has a lot of potential over competitors when deeply integrated into iOS and brought to their customers on iPhone and iPad and the Mac.
So Ben, given this integration model, what do you think consumers can expect down the pipeline product-wise?
Well, I think you talked a little bit about the music space and how it was fragmented, and now there's only a few companies in there in the streaming side, and I think that's, again, an important observation. And I think you look at what they do with music, and I would say look at what beyond they could do. Music by itself, people don't really necessarily own their music anymore. They're streaming it. It's not as big of a driver, right, from an acquisition standpoint for new customers. But could this go beyond music into movies, into TVs, into a much broader integrated entertainment system? I would see, hopefully, is something that we see as an upside come out of this deal.
Well, we're looking at the chart on the screen right now, and music-based mobile apps were the second fastest growing app category in the App Store. And according to the Midman Information Telecoms and Media report, global music revenues are on the rise from mobile apps. What kind of music apps do you see generating the most revenue or the most popular? What kind of trends could we be seeing in this space?
Well, I think we're certainly seeing the trends around these streaming apps. I mean, without question, this is the one category that seems to be on a big uprise, whether it's Beats, and obviously, you talked about Spotify, RDO. I mean, there's options out there. But this is, I think, music is just so central, I think, globally to so many consumers on the market that it's no surprise that these streaming apps or these apps to services where you don't have to buy the music, you in essence just kind of subscribe and can stream any artist you like, is really the center of this. And it's in essence the new iTunes, right? We don't need to buy our music anymore. We can have these more streaming/curated experiences, and I think that's where just the music side of it's going if we're talking about that.
Ben, you said the magic word buy, and pre-iTunes, about 14 years ago, often Napster, but before iTunes, the music industry was struggling to monetize on digital technology post the CD and even 8-track era. Has it now managed to do that effectively with these streaming technologies?
I think it's getting closer. I mean, if anybody who looks at the content rights around the entertainment industry knows it's a very complex web about, even on a dollar song, who gets what, whether the artist, the label, the engineers, the producers. There's a complex web of that. So we're already talking about fractions being distributed across the acquisition. But obviously, being able to buy digital music was a huge boost for them over, what people were doing, which was largely pirating as we moved from analog to digital. So streaming is a very different model. I'm not terribly familiar with how the rights are broken down, but clearly artists want to make money for their content. They want to make money on for everybody in the ecosystem, and without question, we're moving to the streaming model. So the industry has no choice but to figure out how best to monetize streaming. And I would look at this, what Apple does, because they take a very pro-artist's view with their solutions, that they might go and say, let us help you monetize this better. You're not making a lot from Pandora, you're not making a lot from Spotify, but let us bring this service and actually help you in the whole ecosystem, and that's good for them and it's good for consumers.
Okay, a lot to look out for, Ben. Great to have you on the show. Thanks so much. Ben Bajarin,
Thanks for having
Director
me.
of Consumer Technology